culmination of the high school game of the week. This evening, the 1994 SOSSA championship game between the Myer Marauders and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. High school game of the week, high school game of the week, high school game of the week, high school game of the week. Mulligan for three, he drains it. Bigger finds Mulligan open for three. A nice play. Todd Upper. Dolan, nice drive off the window for two. Moscato for two. Vince Policella, nice drive along the baseline. The Irish up by one. 25-16, Myer now leads. Marauders work the ball around. Sherrill with a nice lay-in. Nice move by Nick Medic. Jamie Cool kicks it out for Medic for three. Rebounded by Dave Scremin. Shot and the foul. Clark Wincott works it inside. Scremin off the glass. That'll tie it at 57. Basketball from the Plain Hunter Cable 10 High School Game of the Week continue. And welcome as we are courtside here at Notre Dame High School in Welland. Jim Gould along with Jack Chambers. Jack, we've got an excellent game for this 1994 SOSSA Championship, the Myer Marauders and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
Right, Jim, there are 16 teams left remaining in the province now. After tonight, Saturday and Sunday, we'll be down to 16. And I think one of these two teams, and I got a feeling it might be Myer, but I think one of these two teams are going to be very competitive in London next week.
Before we get into too much detail about tonight's game between the Irish and the Marauders, let's take a look at some highlights from semifinal action Tuesday night. In the first semifinal game, it was Notre Dame taking on the Orchard Park Patriots of Stony Creek. For the Irish, it was the first game back for three players. Mike Dolan returning from a one-game suspension that caused him to miss the Zone 3 championship. Jeff Moscato came back early from a broken thumb to play defense, still sporting a cast, and Dan Mulligan saw his first game action since spraining his ankle. Both teams played a tentative first half with the Irish maintaining a slight lead. Notre Dame was up by 5 after one quarter and led by 6, 23-17 at the half. The Irish came alive in the second, Mark Ventresca burying three three-pointers in the third quarter for 9 of his game-high 16 points, while Vince Policella picked up 10 of his 15 in the fourth quarter by taking the ball to the hoop. Dave Bigger was the model of consistency for Notre Dame in the second half. He went 10 for 12 from the free throw line as the Irish went on to crush Orchard Park 62-38. In the second semifinal game, the Myer Marauders had a much tougher task. They led by forward Nick Medic and starting guards Jamie Cool and Clark Wincott. Myer faced the Zone 6 champion St. Catharines Collegiate Saints. The Saints came into the game led by their big man in the middle, David Phillip, and point guard Martin Hajek. Phillip started slowly, gathering only 4 points in the first half while he was being tested defensively by Myer setter Dave Scremin, who managed to throw down a couple of first-half dunks on Phillip. The Saints held down the fort in the first half, leading most of the way due to Hajek's 17 points in the half. At halftime, the Saints were up 35-26 and looked to be running away with the game. After St. Catharines opened leads of 11 and 13, the Marauders began to turn it up a notch at both ends of the floor. Nick Medic sparking the Myer comeback as he poured in 19 of his game-high 27 points, all in the second half, while Wincott, Scremin, and Jeff Sherrill helped to whittle away the Saints' lead down to 5 after 3 quarters. Phillip scored 22 of St. Catharines' 28 second-half points. Hajek, who had dominated in the first half, seemed to disappear in the second, scoring only 4 points, none of which came in the fourth quarter. Myer clawed their way to a slight lead and then fought tooth and nail to keep it. With 6 seconds on the clock and the Marauders up 65-63, Jamie Cool hit the first of a 1-and-1 situation that iced the win for Myer. The Saints had one last chance at a desperation three-pointer that fell short, giving Myer a 66-63 win and left them 1 win away from their 3rd straight trip to the All-Ontario Tournament. Joined right now by Notre Dame head coach Ralph Nero. Ralph, you come into this game as the underdog. Myer's got to be looking to beat you guys. They beat you 3 times out of 4 this season. How's your team approaching tonight's game?
We approach it as another game that we have to win. That's all. I mean, if we play well, we can win the game. That's all. Not anything different. We just got to execute the things that we've been doing all year. It's too late to change now.
You went into the Zone 3 championship last Friday and played a very strong game with only 5 players available to you. Jeff Moscato, Mike Dolan, Jeff Moscato, and Dan Mulligan are all available to you this evening. How much will they play and how effective will they be?
Well, the big mystery with us is Danny. He hasn't practiced this week, and he tried to go on Tuesday. He probably was at under 10% or so. He just was not effective at all. Hopefully we can get him up to 50 or 60%. And, without that, we got big problems. We have, it's very difficult.
Jeff Moscato playing with his thumb taped. He's got the cast off now.
He had the cast off Wednesday, and he went went without the therapy, and it seems fine. He's taped up, and hopefully he'll help. We really could use him back too.
And Dave Bigger was banged up a little bit in his
Bigger and Dole are both pretty well smacked up, but hey, this is the time of year all teams are, all teams are like it now, so we'll be okay.
Very quickly, if the Irish are to beat Myer tonight, what are they going to have to do?
Score more points. That's all. We just play well and hope they don't. If we both, I just hope we both have a good game. If we both play well, it'll be a very interesting game. I just hope we're competitive. I think we will be.
Myer head coach Bob Cool joins us right now. Coach Cool, you're coming into this game. You got to be feeling a little confident. This is the 5th time you've played Notre Dame. Out of the 4 of the times that you have played them, you beat them 3 times every time here.
Yes, but they've been very tight games. I mean, beating them by the buzzer in an overtime game is that's one of the most recent ones. And then they weren't fully manned the last time we played them. And I think you can cast that game out. I think it's going to be an excellent game, and I just hope we play well, and I hope they play well.
Who's got to come up big for you on the floor for Myer to beat Notre Dame and head to their 3rd straight OSSA championships?
Well, it's kind of a different team this year because we've got, I think, 5 guys that can do it for us, and any one of them could come up fairly strong. It's a very balanced team, and they play well together, and they play well defensively together, and well, they work pretty hard.
I want to ask you about your new big man, Greg Newton, having since gone on to Duke University. Dave Scremmons really asserted himself down the middle this year.
Yeah, he's improved just week after week, and he's still junior age, and he's been playing as a senior. He's not out of place at all, and he gets the job done for us, and I think he's doing a good job.
Would this team fare any differently than previous teams going to the OSSA championships? Do you think you have a better shot if you get there with this team?
I don't know. 3 years ago, people thought that we had the strongest team with probably Greg Newton, Peter Garashi. And then when we went last year, we had lost Peter, and I think we probably did better that year. And then losing, everybody thought that we wouldn't do too well because we'd lost Greg Newton this year. And I think we've probably done a little better than a lot of people thought we'd do this year. At the OSSA level, anything can happen, and I would think if we're fortunate enough to win tonight that at OSSA we'll give a good account of ourselves. But OSSA's tough. And I hear already that a lot of good teams have been knocked off that were thought to do well at OSSA. So Reading is gone and Westwood is gone apparently, and Cathedral had a 1-point game the other night. Martin Grove is gone, so there's a lot of teams that won't be at OSSA.
Possibility for a real wide-open tournament in London.
Yeah, it always is sort of, but I think as basketball goes on and around the province it gets a lot better. Anybody can win. I was just talking to Jack Chambers earlier, and we sort of came to the idea that I don't think anybody can repeat anymore because there's too many good teams out there as far as winning OSSA. And there's just teams coming from all over the province that are excellent teams. So OSSA is really, it's a good tournament. And anybody can win it, really. It's a lot of good, well, there's parity in basketball around the province now, and it's good for basketball.
My thanks to Myer head coach Bob Cool and Notre Dame head coach Ralph Nero for joining us. Now let's go to the broadcast booth to Jack Chambers to find out his keys for tonight's game.
Okay, Jim, thanks for the Myer keys to the ball game. The Myer Ball Club has got to control the backboards. They're the bigger team. They should be able to control the boards at each end. They should be able to score baskets in the Notre Dame end. The second key, Scremmons and Medic must score. In spite of what Coach Cool says, this is not as balanced a team as he would like it to be. This team goes with Nick Medic. On Tuesday, he got 27 points. Scremmons and Medic between them have to score about 35 points. And thirdly, Myer has to play with intensity and emotion. I've never seen a Bobby Cool coach team and the Myer team up and cheering and emotionally into the ball game with great intensity as they were on Tuesday night. If they can maintain that, they're going to be a very, very tough team to beat. Notre Dame, on the other hand, has to be looking at their turnovers. Because they don't have the size, they've got to keep the turnovers down to 10 or 12. The young players, we've been saying this all year, but the young players, Ventresca, Policetta, Upper, and Lassard, have to get 35 points between them tonight. Again, Tuesday against Parkside, they had 37. Ventresca has to hit the threes tonight. Notre Dame has to shoot well. They've got to shoot the threes from the field. They have to hit the foul line. The other night against Parkside, they were 25 from 36 from the line. 25 is a lot of points, all free. 18 of them came in the fourth quarter. They have to hit the foul shots and the outside shots. But the big if, and but of tonight's game is Danny Mulligan. He must be able to play at least 70%. He must be able to score and at least be a threat for Notre Dame to be in this ball game. All in all, I got a feeling that Myer is the better team. I look to Myer to win it maybe by about 10 or 12.
And good evening. Welcome back to the Dillon Auditorium at Notre Dame High School in Welland, Ontario. Jim Gould and Jack Chambers along with the McLean Hunter High School Game of the Week. This evening it's the 1994 SOSSA Championship game between the A.N. Myer Marauders and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Jack, an excellent ball game on hand. We've been highlighting this week's SOSSA playdowns earlier on in the show. One interesting note for A.N. Myer this evening, Mike Perker, number 44, not in the lineup, not registered on the book. He did not make the trip with the Marauders. There's no explanation as to why he's not here. That puts more of the pressure on junior age Dave Scremin, who will be playing the center position for Myer this evening.
And that does affect one of the keys that we had in the ball game. We were talking about how Myer had the height advantage, and of course we were thinking at that time that Scremmins and Perker would be part of this game. So that's one key already that Myer might be hurting in this ball game.
On the opening tip, Dave Scremin, Jeff Sherrill, Nick Medic, Clark Wincott, and Jamie Cool start things off for the Marauders. Vince Policello, Mark Ventresca, Dave Bigger, Mike Dolan, and Todd Upper into the lineup for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. So one thing under our belts already, Dan Mulligan won't start this evening.
And Notre Dame normally plays a man-to-man, and we see them starting off with a zone, 2-3 zone.
Sherrill takes the first shot of the game, banks it off the glass, and as has become a tradition here, the Myer Marauder fans celebrate the first basket for their team by toilet papering the gymnasium floor.
Yeah, that's a thing that comes out of the States. They see it come tournament time. It doesn't serve any purpose, but I suppose people have fun with it. It's interesting to see Sherrill scoring on that first game. He's a much underrated player. Jeff Sherrill, number 34 for Myer, and he's a big forward, and he'll play an important role in this ball game.
6'2" forward for the Marauders. Right now, the Irish on offense. Dave Bigger pulls up a three-point attempt. Dave Scremin pulls down the rebound, hands off to Medic. He'll bring it up the floor. Myer leading the Irish 2-0.
It's one of the things we were talking about. I expect Notre Dame will not get too many second opportunities. They have to score.
Medic's first shot of the game, short off the front of the iron. Notre Dame right back down the floor, work it inside to Dolan. He's got no room on Scremin. Stuffed by Dave Scremin right into the hands of Jamie Cool. The Irish turn the ball over. And the Marauders run it right back down the floor into the hands of Scremin. He tried for the lay-in, fouled on the play. Mike Dolan getting called for the Irish.
That time both Dolan and Todd Upper were up in the air, and actually they did a good job. They stopped Mike Scremin from putting the ball in the hole.
You get the feeling that Dolan and Upper, neither one of them wants to get dunked on by Scremin this evening after watching Dave Scremin do a number on David Phillip in the semifinal Tuesday.
And having Dolan and Moscato will be a big factor that we didn't see in the zone playoffs.
Jump ball called on the Scremin block. The possession arrow in favor of Notre Dame. A.N. Myer leads Notre Dame early in this 1994 SOSSA Championship game. 6:37 remaining. Only one basket in the game. That off the hand of Myers. Jeff Sherrill, 2-0. A.N. Myer leads Notre Dame.
Danny Mulligan now back in the ball game, or back into the ball game for the first time.
Bigger shot goes off the rim. Dave Scremin thought he had the rebound, and he lost the handle. Dave Bigger picked up the loose ball. Todd Upper working underneath.
It's a good job on the boards by Upper and Policello, and that's something Notre Dame has to do. They have to try and get some of the offensive boards.
Fouls on Jeff Sherrill. The Irish will inbound.
So far in this ball game, the dominant play of Mike Scremin has been the story.
Moscato from the top of the key ties the game at 2. Just over 6 minutes remaining here in the first quarter.
The other night, Tuesday night, when Jeff had the cast on in the semifinal game, although he's a left-hander, with the cast on his left hand, he was forced to shoot with his right hand.
Jamie Cool for 3 off the front of the rim, no good. Rebounded by the Irish.
It's That's another trend we see. Notre Dame is doing quite well on their defensive board. They're keeping Myer off from getting the second shots as well.
Mulligan in the corner for three, nothing but net. The Irish take the lead 5-2.
Any points that Danny Mulligan get tonight are going to be a bonus. And Ralph Nero is going to be happy with any kind of points. Normally Notre Dame relies on about 25 out of Danny.
Medic pulls up around Mulligan for two, 5-4. Notre Dame still leading.
Mulligan doesn't have the lateral movement. We can see that.
Nice inside pass to Jeff Moscato. Dave Scremin had the rebound but couldn't find the handle. Todd Upper puts it in, 7-4 Notre Dame. Down low to Scremin, rebounded by the Irish, out of bounds. And Myer will inbound off the end.
That time both Bigger and Upper were both on the ball, and neither one of them were able to come down with it.
Mark Ventresca checking back in for the Irish. Dan Mulligan taking a rest. As Clark Wincott lets fly with a three off the iron, no good. Moscato pulls down the rebound. Outlets to Bigger. The Irish maintain possession. Pass stolen by Clark Wincott.
Very ill-advised pass by Dave Bigger.
Todd Upper getting called for a foul on the play as Wincott went up for the steal.
And that's a critical turnover for the Irish.
Ended up in the hands of Jeff Sherrill. He banks it in for two. 7-6. Notre Dame leads. 4:20 remaining here in the first quarter of this 1994 SOSSA championship game. Moscato working on Scremin. Scremin gets called for a foul.
You know, something we might be looking for in this ball game. Normally Myer has been able to waste 10 fouls in that big center position with Scremmins and Perker. Without Perker in the ball game tonight, Scremmins could find himself in the foul trouble, and that would be a vastly different Myer team. It's something we'll have to look forward to, the number of fouls that Mike Scremmins gets in this ball game.
Jeff Moscato hits two. 9-6. Notre Dame up on A.N. Myer. Mulligan is back into the game for Notre Dame. Todd Upper checking out. He seemed to have bloodied up his nose on that collision with Clark Wincott. He's now on the bench. Mulligan into the game. Jeff Sherrill picks up a loose ball in the key, keeps it for Myer. Nick Medic dishes off to Scremin down low. The Marauders pulled it within one as Dave Bigger runs the floor. Bigger into the key. Medic.
It's Myers' third foul of the ball game.
3:38 remaining in the first quarter. Notre Dame with a 9-8 lead. Dave Bigger with two chances at trying to increase that lead.
Coach Nero being very liberal about moving players in and out of the ball game. So far, Coach Cool for Myer hasn't made any changes, and Notre Dame must move 5 or 6 by this time, I think, Jim.
Notre Dame leads as the Marauders work in the offensive zone. Nick Medic guarded closely by Dan Mulligan as Wincott tries to move baseline. They kick it to Wincott in the corner for three. No foul on the play. The Irish clear the zone. Pass for Moscato was deflected away, but worked right back to Mulligan. His three-point shot off the rim. Scremin with the rebound.
So far,
Myer right back down the floor.
So far in this ball game, Danny Mulligan is running the court. He's not 100% obviously, but I think he is close to that 70%, and whether he can maintain that for the whole ball game is going to be a factor. I noticed the last time he took the three, he came down on his left foot, not much weight on the injured right ankle.
Wincott with a nice cut through to break the flex offense, and the steal and conversion. Wincott ties the game at 10.
Careless pass by Mike Dolan. That's the second turnover by Notre Dame, and both of them are result of careless passes. And both of them resulted in baskets.
Good anticipation by Clark Wincott to pick that pass off as Mike Dolan works it inside. Shot no good. The Marauders come away with a rebound, tied at 10. Jamie Cool in the corner for three. That's off the rim. Tipped back up by Jeff Sherrill. So after trailing for much of this first quarter, Myer back into the lead at 12-10. Jeff Sherrill called for a blocking foul there.
That's the second one on Sherrill. Myer's fourth.
Bigger down low. Can't get it to go off the board. Scremin clears it. Marauders just taking their time, working the ball around. 1:25 remaining in the first quarter. A&M Myer up 12-10.
Clark Wincott with the ball. He's a fine outside shooter. Has played a big role in the Notre Dame Myer games, and I would expect before this ball game's over that he'll get his 10 or 12, probably about half of them on three-point shots.
Tipped out of bounds by Vince Policella. A&M Myer will inbound as they bring in two new players. Jeff Sherrill, Jamie Coral come out for a rest. Bill Davis and Chris Kuhn in for the Marauders. Chris Lessard in for Notre Dame. Stan Mulligan takes a rest.
Bill Davis had a great game the other night against St. Catherine's Collegiate coming off the bench.
Check that, Dan Mulligan still in the game. Dave Bigger on the bench for Chris Lessard. They work it down low to Kuhn. He banks one in off the glass. 14-10. A&M Myer leads Notre Dame. Under a minute to play in the first quarter.
Defense.
Policella drives and dishes off to Dolan, who's blocked by Scremin. Wincott brings it back down the floor for Myer.
Right off the bat, we see Mike Dolan starting to lose it here.
There's Chris Kuhn to pick up a loose ball down in the key. 16-10, Myer leads.
Mike Dolan, after he was stuffed, started arguing with the referee and left the Notre Dame team without defensive help.
Lessard pulls up the free throw line. He can't get it to fall. Scremin clears the boards. Medic hits for two at the buzzer. And after a very closely contested first quarter, the Marauders just pulling away in the last minute, 18-10 after one quarter of play.
But Notre Dame was hurting as soon as they had the two young guards, Lessard and Ventresca, on together. They had Bigger and Mulligan both off the court in the last minute. Coach Nero hoping to sneak a rest there. He was unable to do it, and Myer burned them big time. We said off the top that turnovers were going to hurt Notre Dame. They committed two, both resulting in baskets. Mike Dolan committed a mental error, if you will. That resulted in a basket. 6 big points coming off of turnovers in an 8-point game. I think we're going to see this block on Mike Dolan. There's Policella dumping it off, and Scremin goes up. What we don't see in the picture is Dolan standing at the baseline arguing with referee Malcolm Allen. And believe me, he has got a prayer winning that one.
Notre Dame 6 players on the court set to begin the third quarter. Second quarter, check that. Chris Lessard heads over to the bench. Ventresca, Mulligan, Upper, Moscato, and Policella for Notre Dame. Sherrill, Davis, Wincott, Kuhn, and Medic for the Marauders.
Chris Kuhn did a great job off the bench there, coming in the last couple of minutes, picking up 4 quick points, really contributing to the cause.
Medic pulls up for three, nothing but net. 21-10 as Nick Medic drops a bomb on the Irish. Not what Ralph Nero was looking for when he came out of the gates for the second quarter. Notre Dame down by 11. Mulligan works it back and forth with Moscato. He pulls up, throws up a shot off the front of the rim. Kuhn with a rebound and clears it out to Wincott up the floor.
Myers playing a very intense man. They've have Notre Dame a little out of the picture in terms of running the flex.
Nick Medic just blowing by Dan Mulligan. Mulligan calls a timeout for the Irish. 23-10 A.N. Myer. 7:08 remaining here in the second quarter.
You know, Jim, the interesting thing about this is Coach Nero went into zone defense, I'm sure, to try and protect Danny Mulligan and his weak ankle. But the way the zoners worked out, where Nick Medic is playing right at the point at the top, opposite to Danny, in effect what has been created is a man-to-man situation. And Nick is just blowing by Danny. Danny has no lateral movement whatsoever. And I think we're going to see this coming up on a replay here in a second. Here it is. Wincott's got the ball now, and he'll put it out. There's Medic. And we see Mulligan, just no lateral movement at all. Medic just blows right by him. It's a good move on the part of the Myer team to create that one-on-one situation. They're just eating Mulligan up right now.
23-10, A.N. Myer leads Notre Dame. 7:08 remaining here in the second quarter of the 1994 SOSSA championship game being played at Notre Dame High School here in Welland. Jim Gould along with Jack Chambers for the call of the game. The Irish go on offense. Moscato drives baseline. Kuhn went up for the block. Got a piece of Moscato on the play. Jeff Moscato will go to the line.
One thing that Notre Dame has been doing is taking it right to the hole, and they have been creating fouls on the Myers part. That's the 5th turnover on Myer. And Notre Dame has been making the foul shots. For Moscato, that's 3 for 3.
Make it 4 for 4, 23-12. And Myer still maintains an 11-point lead. See, they've checked off. Dave Biggers now guarding Nick Medic while Mulligan is on Bill Davis. Bill Davis called for an illegal block, turned the ball over to the Irish. Policella drives. Shot no good. Foul called on Sherrill. He's got a few already.
That's his 3rd one, Jim. Myer is building up the fouls here early in this ball game.
So with 3 fouls, Sherrill will sit down. Dave Scremin comes off the bench to take his place, so Kuhn stays in the game. Medic, Kuhn, Scremin, Kuhl, and Wincott in the game for Myer. Policella, Moscato, Bigger, then Tresca and Mulligan in for the Irish. Policella hits both. It's a 9-point Marauder lead.
The Irish are 7 for 8 from the foul line so far in this ball game, accounting for half of their 14 points.
Pass for Medic, top of the key. That's off the front of the rim. Rebounded by Policella. The Irish break out. Down low for Moscato. Scremin with another block. Jump ball signaled. It seemed as though Vince Policella had stolen it away. The possession arrow in favor of Notre Dame, so they'll take the ball on the end.
Both players had their back to referee Allen, and we couldn't really see where the possession was.
Pass inside to Moscato, stolen by Jamie Kuhl. Stripped by Dave Bigger.
Great Great hustle by Dave.
Jamie Cool was going in all alone for the uncontested lay-in, and Dave Bigger with some excellent hustle knocked the ball away at the last minute.
The problem is that, again, it was a bad pass. Notre Dame's committed 3 turnovers in this game, all of them on bad passes, careless passes.
Wincott was running the baseline, passed in. Point attempt, 26-14, A.N. Myer. Ventresca for 3. That's off the rim. Rebound, Medic.
That's a shot that Mark Ventresca has to hit.
Medic pulls up for 3. That's off the glass. On the floor now. Nick Medic falling on the loose ball. The possession arrow in favor of A.N. Myer. They'll take the ball on the end.
It's good to see in these championship ball games both teams going to the floor and picking up loose basketballs. That shows that they're both really into it in terms of intensity.
Wincott dribbled into the middle, thought better of it, kicked it back out. Pass inside is picked off by the Irish. Ventresca runs the floor, banks one off the glass, no good. Scremin with the rebound. He has it knocked away by Moscato. Policella picks up the loose ball and puts one in for 2. 26-16, A.N. Myer leads Notre Dame, 4:35 remaining in the first half. Work it down low to Scremin. He can't handle the pass. It is on the end line.
Myers committed more turnovers than Notre Dame so far in this ball game, but the turnovers aren't as critical to Myer as they are to Notre Dame.
Moscato working down low. Couldn't get the shot to fall, but gets the foul.
I think that was on Scremmins.
Foul on Dave Scremin, his second. Jeff Moscato on the line.
First miss for Moscato out of 5 shots.
This is the second. Medic hauls down the rebound, and he'll bring it up the floor for Myer.
So there, Mark Ventresca a little better able to go laterally.
Medic pulls up the top of the key, can't get it to go. Scremin with the rebound.
Scremin's been dominating the offensive boards.
Myer just working the ball around. 3:30 remaining here in the first half. 26-16, Myer leads Notre Dame. They try to work it inside, pass deflected away by Moscato. Scremin tried to pick up the loose ball at the midcourt line. Myer called for over and back. Notre Dame ball.
Myers getting that emotion we talked about earlier. They had 3 people down on the floor to Notre Dame's 1. A couple of Notre Dame people standing around watching. That's not the way to play a championship ball game.
Policella drives the lane. Can't get it to go his second attempt. Fouled by Jamie Cool as he tried to go up with it the second time. Policella on the line.
Jamie Cool, that's only his first. Notre Dame, who shot so well earlier in the first quarter in the foul line, have missed 3 of their last 4.
They try to work it down low to Scremin. Off his hand, tipped away. Mulligan picked up the loose ball. Policella drives. Fouled by Dave Scremin. That's his third personal foul for Dave Scremin. 2:43 remaining in the first half.
Scremin and Sherrill both have 3, and there's 4 other players who have 1 each. The Irish are not taking maximum advantage of it on the foul line.
New player checking in for the Myer Marauders, wearing a junior uniform, number 40. He replaces Dave Scremin. No idea who he is. I'm sure he's into the game to replace Mike Perker, who did not make the trip here to Welland for this SOSSA championship game.
Now more and more the emphasis will be on Nick Medic and his one-on-one skills.
The Irish take the ball away. Mulligan on the baseline, no good. Rebound brought down by the Marauders.
Coach Cool is looking to kill some time off the clock right now and trying to come out of this quarter with 6 or 8 point lead if possible, because they've got themselves into some real problems.
Cool tries to drive the lane. He's fouled on his way through. Jamie Cool heads to the line for the Marauders. 26-18. Myer leads Notre Dame. 1:41 remaining in the first half of this SOSSA championship. Check that Cool doesn't go to the line. It's only the Irish's third foul in this first half. No bonus situation. So the Marauders get the ball.
So far the fouls have been 10 against Myer and only 3 against Notre Dame. A part of that is Myer is in a man-to-man defense, more likely to foul, and the Irish have been taking it right to the hoop, not with great success, but they have been taking it at him. And Notre Dame is playing the zone, not as likely to foul in a zone situation.
Mulligan picks it off for the Irish.
Without Dave Scremmins in this ball game, Notre Dame's coming up with a few more boards.
Knocked away by Kuhn. The Marauders steal it right back. Jamie Cool works it down low for Medic. He's along the baseline into the middle. Basket for number 40. Still unable to find out who he is.
Point lead, Myer with 36 seconds to go.
Policella down low, can't get it to go. Kuhn grabs the rebound for Myer. Medic controls. 25 seconds remain in the first half. 28-18, Myer leads.
And Myer will again try and get one shot out of this if they possibly can. Misread on a back door, Medic and Cool. Nick Medic thought that Jamie was going to go back door. He actually started, but he faked his own man out, and Medic threw it out of bounds.
Myer turns it over with 12 seconds remaining on the clock. The Irish will most likely play for last shot of the first half. Working into the corner from Mulligan. He puts up a 3. No time left on the clock. Called on Policella down low as time expires after the first half. The Myer Marauders lead the Irish 28-18. Not unlike much of what you expected, Jack, coming into this game. The first half, the Marauders heavily favored over Notre Dame and showing that with a 10-point lead after one half.
Well, Myer totally blasted Notre Dame by 13 in the first quarter. Notre Dame won a small victory there. The difference right now, the first quarter was by 13, now it's by 10. The big surprise in this ball game is the foul trouble that Myer's getting themselves into. And that's going to be a big difference at the end of this game. And Notre Dame so far has scored 3, 5, 9 of their 18 points. It's half their points have come from the foul line.
And we've just found out Rich Stefanovic is number 40 for the A.N. Myer Marauders. He played in last week's Zone 3 championship game with the Myer junior team. That team, of course, beaten by the Notre Dame juniors. So he was eligible to be called up. Rich Stefanovic wearing number 40 for the Marauders and has picked himself up a couple of points here in the first half already.
Yeah, he played a great ball game in the junior championship game that we had on the plane before. And one of the things we were talking about also before the game was the turnover factor in this game. Myer has committed 11 turnovers, but they don't seem to hurt Myer because they dominate the board. Notre Dame has only committed 4 turnovers, 3 of them, however, by Dave Bigger. All 4 have been on bad passes. And that, of course, turns over. Every time you have a turnover, that translates into a couple of points, and that's been true this ball game. And so far, 5 turnovers by Notre Dame, if we count the mental turnover by Mike Dolan, and 10 points, and that's the difference in this ball game.
28-18 is our score after one half of play. You're watching the McLean-Hunter High School basketball game of the week. This afternoon, the 1994 SOSSA championship game between the A.N. Myer Marauders and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Myer leads 28-18.
You're watching your community channel. We are McLean-Hunter Cable TV.
And welcome back to the Dillon Auditorium at Notre Dame High School in Welland. Jim Gould along with Jack Chambers here at Notre Dame as we are bringing you the 1994 SOSSA championship game between the A.N. Myer Marauders and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. After the first half, Myer with a 28-18 lead over Notre Dame.
And Nick Medic, as we might suspect, had 9 of the 28 points for Myer. The bit of a surprise for Myer was they got excellent play from Chris Kuhn, Rich Stefanovic, and Jeff Sherrill, all accounting for about another 14 points in this ball game. On the other hand, we talked about the importance of scoring from the young players. The young players from Notre Dame, Upper, Ventresco, Lassard, Polichetto, Moscato, have got 14 points. The bad part about that, of course, is that Mark Ventresca has come up blank so far, and with the absence of three-point scoring by Danny Mulligan, Mark Ventresca must do it for Notre Dame here in the second half.
Both teams reverting back to their original starting lineups from the beginning of the game, exception for the Irish. Dan Mulligan in the lineup. Todd Upper's been on the bench. I believe he's been on the bench since that collision with Clark Wincott that gave him a bit of a bloody nose.
And Todd came into this game injured. He had a bad ankle as well. I don't know if that plays a role in it or not.
Mulligan spots up from three-point territory. That's off the front of the rim. Rebound brought down by Sherrill. Coach Ralph Nero not happy with that shot at all.
And with Danny not playing with 2 good legs, legs are a very important part of outside shooting, and Danny just doesn't have it.
Nick Medic takes it up to the foul line, pulls up and pops for a 30-18 Myer lead.
This game could get very quickly away from Notre Dame if they're not careful in these next 4 or 5 minutes in the ball game.
Moscato along the baseline, he hits for 2. Get the Irish on the board here in the second half.
Jeff Moscato with the cast-off has come up big time in this basketball game for Notre Dame.
They work it inside to Sherrill. His shot won't fall. Dolan there for the rebound. Called for a block as Dave Bigger tried to drive to the hoop.
It's the second one on Cool, and I don't think he's going to be in any foul trouble. But again, if the trend in the first half continues and Notre Dame gets on the line because of a lot of fouls, that could spell some problems for Myer in the fourth quarter.
The Irish maintain possession, working around in the offensive zone. Bigger from the top of the key, no good. Jamie Cool there to pull down the rebound.
Dave Bigger really hasn't got any points. He's got 1 point, but that's not what Notre Dame requires. They need big-time points.
Jamie Cool for 3. That's in and out. Dolan there for the rebound.
Two good boards by Mike Dolan in the last 2 times down.
Mulligan can't hit the 3. Scremin there for the rebound. Myer takes it right back down the floor. You could see Dan Mulligan favoring that ankle on that 3-point shot.
One of the problems for Notre Dame is all year they've lived on that 3-point shot from Danny Mulligan.
Medic well short on his 3-point attempt. Out of bounds. Paulicello there to inbound for the Irish.
Usually Notre Dame has relied on Mulligan and Bigger to give them the big threes. In this ball game, Danny has hit one of them. Bigger hasn't hit any.
Stolen by Wincott. He'll bring it down the floor. Dishes off to Medic. Mulligan tried to steal it away from him.
That's the 5th turnover on Notre Dame. 4 of them by Dave Bigger, and all 4 have been careless passes.
Bigger checks out of the game. Ben Treska in to replace him. So the Marauders stay on offense.
Myer looks like they're trying to pull Notre Dame out of that zone. They know they're quicker. Certainly Medic overmatches Van Treska here, number 5 for Notre Dame. That matchup right there is a no contest.
The Irish have been doing a very good job all game long of preventing Myer from getting the ball into Scremin down low. Medic drives baseline. It's a friendly roll off the rim, 32-20. The Marauders lead the Irish. As Wincott comes up with a steal, dishes off to Medic. He slows things right up. Everybody gets set. It's a 12-point Marauder lead. They have the ball. 4:20 remaining here in the 3rd quarter.
And this matchup is just tailor-made for Myer. They're just going to, Medic will just eat up Van Treska here, and here he goes again on it.
Tries to go off the glass, rebounded by Moscato. Van Treska brings the ball up the floor.
12-point lead again. Notre Dame absolutely needs to have these 2 points here, or this game's getting away.
Dolan tries to drive, dishes off. Paulicello brings it into the lane, blocked by Scremin. Moscato gets the rebound, can't follow it up. Out of bounds on the end, last touch by Notre Dame.
3:45 to go in this ball game. I think we could be coming near the end of it.
Dave Bigger back into the game. Mark Van Treska takes a seat on the bench. Myer with a 12-point lead, 3:40 remaining here in the 3rd quarter.
Van Treska's out of the ball game. Dave Bigger comes back in the ball game to try and shut down Medic. Notre Dame has had to pick up in a man-to-man. And Medic blows by Bigger.
Bigger comes away with a rebound as they battle for it.
Irish lucked out in that trip down the floor. Notre Dame defense now, the flex is totally broken down here.
Myer doing a good job of shutting off Irish passes. Bigger's 3-point shot off the front of the rim. Sherrill comes up with a loose ball.
Notre Dame's not taking it to the hole like they did in the first half. They're content to throw it up from outside. So far in this quarter, Notre Dame's only scored 2 points.
Jamie Cool drives the baseline. Nice roll off the glass. 34-20, Myer leading Notre Dame.
Cool just blew by Paulicello that time. Notre Dame is not competitive in terms of the quicks and able to play man-to-man with the injuries that they've had.
They work it down low to Dolan, working on Scremin. travels, not happy with the call. Chris Lessard into the game. Dan Mulligan heading to the bench.
Notre Dame right now is looking like a very beaten ball club here.
Chris Kuhn checking in for Dave Scremin. Todd Upper back into the game.
First time we've seen Todd since the first quarter, I believe.
Pulls up for a 2 off the front of the rim. Look to go off the shoulder of Todd Upper. Referees say out of bounds off a Myer player. The Irish get the ball. 34-20, A.M. Myer leads Notre Dame. 1:33 remaining here in the third quarter.
This has not been a well-played third quarter by either team. Well, Myer has so far is leading the quarter on a 6-2 count.
Bigger for 3. That's off the rim. Upper there to follow it through. It won't go in. Dolan grabs a rebound. Called on the offensive.
And the Irish right now are totally out of sync with their offense. It's rather strange. They've been playing the same offense all year, but they really seem to be out of sync.
Dan Mulligan checking back into the game. Chris Lessard checks out. Wincott into the game for Myer. He'll replace Chris Kuhn.
Myer pretty well has the run of this game. They're pretty well doing whatever they want and calling all the turn right now. And they're going to pull
3 guards into the game for the Marauders. Cool and Wincott, the starters, and Bill Davis in. The only 2 forwards into the game, actually another guard, Nick Medic and Jeff Sherrill.
Myers insisting that Notre Dame play man-to-man.
Sherrill down low, fouled by Dolan.
One of the problems in this game, of course, when Notre Dame goes man-to-man, Myers just simply quicker, first step quicker than Notre Dame, and they're just eating them alive in all aspects.
26 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Only 8 points scored by both teams in over 7 minutes of basketball. It was 28-18 at the half. It's 34-20. 35-20, A.M. Myer.
And I think with that basket, or that foul shot, I think we can pretty well say that this game is over. It's just now going to be a matter of how much the difference is going to be. And I think we'll have to, this time, wish Myer well on their trip to London, Ontario.
Policella goes up strong to get the rebound. Gets called for an elbow. Myer will have the ball.
And everything's working against.
Policella did a good job to go up strong and grab that rebound. Referee getting him for an elbow on his way out, trying to clear the zone.
In the referee's opinion, referee Brad Bissonnette, in his opinion, the elbow was a little excessive.
Jamie Cool takes it into the paint. Lost a handle, foul called on the play. Todd Upper getting flagged for the Irish.
And Cool going right by Upper. All these fouls that Notre Dame is picking up here, that one on Bigger was a silly foul to get a mental foul. These are just breakdown frustration fouls, and they're sure sign that Notre Dame knows that they're a beaten ball club right now.
The Irish have picked up 4 fouls within the last minute of this within the last minute of this quarter. At one point, fouls were 1 apiece. Notre Dame now has 5, Myer 1. Medic pulls up from the side, no good. Sherrill there to try and tip it home. That's off the rim. Out of bounds, off the Irish, Myer ball. A lot lot of action in this end of the court. 1 second left on the clock. Check that Notre Dame ball. Now the referees will get everything straight. It's a Myer ball. The Marauders looking to make a change, bring in Dave Scremin. Bill Davis checks off to the bench. Dolan picks up Scremin. There's 1 second left on the clock here in the third quarter. It's going to have to be a quick tip.
This ball's going right into Scremin's, and he's going to put it up. There it is.
Picks up a technical at the end of the third quarter. We get a chance, we'll give you another look at this. Todd Upper and Dave Scremin get into a little pushing match as Scremin tried to go up on with 1 second left on the clock. A couple of players quickly off the bench for Myer.
That was under control, but the problem was Kuhn and Davis both came off the floor. I don't know. Used to watching too much hockey, I suppose, where that is more acceptable, but in a game of basketball, that just doesn't happen. Referee Brad Bissonnette jumped right on it right off the bat, called a technical foul, and told Coach Cool that no way that was going to happen in this basketball game. What happened? Myer ran a play similar to this in the overtime of the other game when it went into Scremin's, and Notre Dame double-teamed them, and then there was a little pushing after that. Right now, Notre Dame is a very frustrated basketball team and not playing composed at all.
Well, with 1 second on the clock and Dave Scremin checking into the ball game, Mike Dolan picked him up right away, said, "This is my man. He's going to make sure he's not going to get the ball." Todd Upper was there right there on the spot.
And actually,
some incidental contact, really didn't amount to much. There was no scoring opportunity, and for the Irish, they're down by 15 with 1 quarter to play. They need whoever they can keep in the lineup.
And what was happening on the court, I didn't think was such a big deal, and the referees didn't call anything. They didn't think it was a big deal. Where the problem lied in the fact that Kuhn and Davis came off the bench.
Davis wasn't called. Kuhn was. 1 technical assessed to Chris Kuhn. So the Irish will have a chance to cut the lead to 13. Right now it's 35-20. A.N. Myer, 8 minutes remain in the game.
But that little altercation at the end of that quarter pretty well signified the type of a quarter it was. Rather poorly played, 7-2 score. Certainly not indicative of what we'd expect from a SOSSA championship ball game.
Only 9 points scored by both teams combined in that quarter. Myer winning the quarter 7-2.
You know, Jim, a strange thing in this ball game is Clark Wincott has yet to score. And usually he's an excellent three-point shooter, and he hasn't really touched the ball that much. The game has pretty well centered around Sherrill and Medic and Cool in this game. Not so much Scremin's because he sat out that whole quarter, probably accounting for the low output in the ball game. But he's in foul trouble, and he'll play through it now. So far in this ball game, Nick Medic is the high scorer with 13. Sherrill has 7 for Myer as well.
Dan Mulligan will shoot the technical for the Irish. Nothing but net for Mulligan.
The problem is that's only Danny's 4th point in the ball game, and a team that usually expects to get about 25 from him.
Mulligan hits both on the technical. Notre Dame will have the ball to begin the 4th quarter.
Down 13 points. Notre Dame's got a big load, and they've got to do that with 3-point shooting, and so far the 3-point shooting hasn't been there tonight.
Chella has handled the ball a lot this evening in this SOSSA championship game. Continues to work with it now.
One thing that Myer has learned in the course of this year, playing Notre Dame 5 times, knowing Notre Dame's going to play the flex.
Dolan pulls up for a 2. That's off the front of the rim. Paulicella clears the boards. Bigger for two. That's off the front of the rim. Rebound by Medic.
Myer has completely taken away the guard-to-guard pass in the Notre Dame flex. Consequently, the Notre Dame offense is basically static, and that's one of the knocks against the flex as an offense. It can be shut down if a team is good enough defensively to do it.
Two quick guards in Jamie Cool and Clark Wincott. They've got the skill to do it.
Right there we saw an example of Myer.
Medic drives low. Scremin called for a travel underneath the basket. 35-22. Myer leads Notre Dame. 7 minutes remain in the 1994 SOSSA championship game.
Right now, Myer is playing more like a team that wants to go to London for the Ontario Championship than Notre Dame is.
Bigger down low for Dolan. He's blocked by Scremin. Out of bounds off Myer. Notre Dame ball.
And we see Mike Dolan there playing referee again. He hasn't made a call all year, and he's not about to make one in this last quarter either.
Mulligan for two along the baseline, no good. Scremin went up for the rebound, couldn't get it. Bigger there to pick it up. He banks one in. 35-24. The Irish have cut the lead to 11.
Bigger is covering Medic now. Mulligan covering Cool. Policella on Wincott.
Finds Sherrill, he'll run the baseline.
Scotto on
Pulls up.
Sherrill.
Tries to work at the Medic. Wincott and Policella go up and battle for it. Policella comes back down with it.
That was probably the Notre Dame's best defensive sequence in this ball
Policella
game.
takes it right to the hole. He gets called for the charge.
Actually, Jimmy called the block on Cool. Jamie Cool seems to be a little upset about that, discussing it with referee Bissonnette right now, but Policella goes to the line.
Well, there was definitely no question. Vince Policella was determined to take it to the hoop. Instead, he goes to the foul line. It's on 1 of 2. It's a 10-point Myer lead. 35-25, 5:35 remaining in the game.
Notre Dame's going to have to come up with super defense here in the last. There's Policella shutting his man down. It's a call again that Myer thought went off of Moscato. Moscato sort of conned the referee, I think, into that was a 50-50 whether Sherrill touched it or not. But the trailing referee, Malcolm Allen, thought it was touched, therefore Notre Dame ball. But Notre Dame needs threes. Danny Mulligan doesn't seem to have the legs to be able to make them, and Dave Bigger doesn't seem to be able to make them.
They work it down low to Dolan. He can't get one to go off the glass. Foul called on Jamie Cool.
That's his third one on Cool. Again, he's not particularly in trouble. But the Irish have to make these. They've got to take advantage of every point they can. After shooting so well in the first quarter and the first half, they've tailed right off here in the second half.
Ian Myer calls a timeout with 4:51 remaining here in the game. The 1994 SOSSA championship game. The Marauders lead Notre Dame 35-25. Notre Dame's only down by 10. And if Dan Mulligan, Mark Ventruska, Dave Bigger, one of those three players gets hot from three-point territory, the Irish could be right back in this game.
Yes, but there's nothing at all in this game to indicate that any of those players are capable of doing it. In a game that they absolutely had to have them to come up big, Mark Ventruska is unable to even come up with 1 point, never mind 1 3-point shot. Dave Bigger just doesn't have it tonight. He's not playing a championship quality ball game, and Danny Mulligan's legs simply don't allow him to hit consistently from that range. So Notre Dame's going to
Listen in on the Myer huddle there. Marauders with 4:51 remaining come out with their complete starting rotation. Scremin, Sherrill, Medic, Wincott, and Cool.
One thing Notre Dame has done this quarter that we didn't see at all in the third quarter is they really upped their defense. They played good defense in this fourth quarter, but it wasn't there in the third quarter.
Dolan hits on the second. They've broken the lead down to single digits. It's now a 9-point Myer lead, 35-26. Up from the top of the key, his shot partially blocked. Moscato came away with it. Up court to Bigger, he lays one in. 35-28, Myer leads.
What a night on Tuesday in the semifinal. We saw Myer coming back from a big 11-point deficit. And we're seeing a little bit of this now. Notre Dame is creeping back into it with 4:13 down 7. They've got a long way to go, but they're not out of it yet.
Works it inside to Sherrill. He can't get it to go. Scremin there for the rebound. Banks put in to reduce. 37-28. Myer's first points come after the 4-minute mark of the fourth and final quarter. They have not scored until Dave Scremin laid that shot in the fourth quarter.
Here's a 3-point attempt by Dave Bigger. It was nothing but air. That's really been the difference in this ball game. Notre Dame's inability to get a 3-point shot. They've only had one 3-pointer, and that's Danny Mulligan in the first quarter.
Cool throws it up in the middle. That's picked off by Moscato. And then Cool tried to steal it away from Moscato. The referee signaled jump ball. Possession arrow in favor of Ian Myer.
There's Jeff Moscato losing his cool. Coming close to getting a technical foul. The matter is Cool's quicker and just simply stole the ball on him on hustle.
Sherrill almost threw it away again. Jamie Cool picked up the loose ball, worked it over to Scremin, back out to Wincott. Wincott drives baseline, tries to dish for Scremin.
Again, good hustle out of Notre Dame's ball, this time after a jump ball at the other end.
9-point Myer lead, 3:13 remaining in the game. The SOSSA championship on the line. Dave Bigger loses the handle. Jamie Cool and Glenn Spalacella there for the jump ball. This time it's in Myer's favor.
Notre Dame has committed 7 turnovers this ball game, and Dave Bigger has committed 6 of them. Not something you'd expect from a senior guard, a player they were really counting on for a big game. He just hasn't provided it tonight.
Sherrill along the baseline. That's off the rim. Ventruska there for the rebound. He threw it in the face of Mulligan. Sherrill picked it up. Loose ball off the foot of Sherrill, out of bounds. Notre Dame ball.
Mark Ventruska got lucky. He passed the ball off. Ventruska's on here to pump up the 3. There's no question about it.
Mulligan for 3. That's off the rim. Rebound Sherrill.
Good hustle from an injured Danny Mulligan.
Good
Came
hustle.
up limping there.
Turned it over into Myer hands. Couldn't keep it in Notre Dame possession as the Marauders on offense. 2:30 remaining in this fourth and final quarter. Foul called on Ventruska.
Mark Ventruska just isn't quick enough to play man-to-man at this level. Notre Dame now has made the decision they are going to put Myer on the foul line, try and get some bonus. hope that Myer does not make these and Notre Dame comes down and makes threes. That's basically their strategy at this point. If they score, Notre Dame will start calling timeouts to stop the clock.
The pressure will be on Dolan and Policella to control the boards for the Irish. Cool hits on the first of the 1-and-1. It's a 10-point Myer lead.
The surest way to wreck that strategy is for Myer to stand on the line and make these shots.
Hits both. 39-28, Myer leads Notre Dame. Ventresca over to Mulligan in the corner for three. Well short. Off Dave Bigger's foot into the hands of Myer player.
That's the fourth air ball that Danny is throwing up tonight.
Policella going to be called for a foul on Jamie Poole.
Again, that can be interpreted as being unnecessarily rough on that, but the referee didn't think so. That's four on Policella. Vinny Policella's played a real tough ball game tonight. He's been on the whole ball game. He's really worked hard on the D and has come up with 7 points in this ball game. Not enough, but it is enough to lead the Irish along with Moscato.
Poole misses the first. Notre Dame picks up the loose ball. Bigger runs the floor out to Ventresca for three. That's good. 39-32. Check that, 31. 39-31.
That's what they needed in the first quarter from Mark Ventresca, that three. The other night against Dundas Parkside in the semifinal, Mark came up big with about 16 points, I think it was. He had about 4 or 5 threes, and tonight he just got shut right down except for that one right there. It's probably too little too late, but we can see what the pattern of this ball game is going to be as long as the Irish have timeouts.
It's an 8-point differential with 2:03 remaining on the clock. What may appear to be plenty of time, but can the Irish capitalize?
My money would be on no.
Very large crowd on hand here, each cheering on their own particular school. Crowd balanced pretty much half Irish, half Marauders.
See, there's still fan interest out there in the community for good high school basketball. We know that 15 other sites across the province, so tonight and Saturday and Sunday there's going to be the same kind of action. And already there's been major upsets across the province. Teams that were expected to contend for the Ontario title are out of it already.
Sherrill fouled by Upper quickly. Not wasting much time off the clock at all. Upper checks out of the game. Vince Policella back in after a quick rest. 2:02 remaining, 39-31. Myer leads. All the Marauders have to do is keep hitting foul shots, and they can't lose this game.
The key is they haven't shot that many foul shots in this ball game. This is only their 5th one in the whole ball game.
Jeff Sherrill missed the first, but Scremin comes away with a rebound.
Big rebound.
Another foul called on the Irish. Now Scremin has a turn at the line.
Somebody in that last foul shot didn't block Scremin's out, and that was a big rebound for Myer.
Off the rim, no good. Moscato rebounds for the Irish. Ventresca out to Bigger. He steps up to the key, drops the deuce, 39-33. Timeout called by the Irish. They trail by 6, just under 2 minutes to play in the game.
So far, Myer has missed 2. The front ends are 1-and-1s. That represents a total of 4 points that they've blown here, and they're only 50% from the line. The Irish, on the other hand, are not that much better. They're 4 out of 6 in this quarter from the line. We see Coach Nero now on the main team. Vince Policella is the only one that's got serious foul troubles. He's got 4. He's out of it in the next one, but he's not even on the court right now. Ventresca, Mulligan, and Bigger, and Jeff Moscato.
Jeff Moscato's played one heck of a game this evening. Coming back from a broken thumb, he played in Tuesday's semifinals with the cast on. He had the cast off the following day, and here he is tonight playing with his thumb taped. Quick foul by Notre Dame. Dan Mulligan fouling Jamie Cool, so he'll head to the line.
And immediately fouling, that's just part of the strategy. And Cool's not the best guy to be fouling. He's the only guy in Myer team that's been able to make the foul shots tonight. Key here, if Cool misses him, is Moscato has to block out Scremmins on this.
Cool hits the first.
Makes the difference 7.
There's his second. That's 8-point differential. 41-33. Myer leads Notre Dame.
Notre Dame needs a 3 now.
Ventresca just outside the three-point line. Mulligan lets fly off the front of the rim. Rebounded by Wincott. He's fouled by Bigger.
Bigger was simply out-hustled. He stood there and watched as Wincott came across the floor and got to the ball game before Bigger is. And for Dave Bigger, this is not one of his better games this season, unfortunately for the Irish tonight.
Wincott will go to the line with a chance to get his first points of the ball game. 1:23 remaining. Off the rim, rebounded by Medic. Kicked it back out to Wincott. He works it down low to Scremmen. No shot on the play.
And that was on Moscato. That's his first foul.
It seems as though Dave Scremmen's the player to foul for the Irish because that keeps him away from the boards on the shot.
Right, and he hasn't been all that successful making these, although Dave is capable of making this shot.
Rebounded by Sherrill. He knocked it right out of bounds. Notre Dame will have the ball in the end. 1:14 remains in the game. The Irish trail by 8.
Watch the great job by Medic, Wincott, and Cool here, and playing right up on the potential three-point shooters. They're not letting them have it. We see Cool really working hard out there.
Ventresca lets fly from three-point range. Scremmen there for the rebound. And he's fouled, and very luckily, both Jeff Moscato and Vince Policella in there. They called the foul on Moscato. That's his second. Had it been on Policella, it would have been his 5th.
But at this stage in the ball game, I don't think that makes particularly that much difference now. Irish made a good run at it. They got it, down to 7, I think, Jim. But a lot of things have to fall in place to overcome a big lead that the Irish were down on.
Scremmen hits the first. Only the 7th Myer point of the second half. They led 35-20 at the half. They now lead 42-33.
This game, when we look back at it, was pretty well over in the first quarter. Myer went up 23-10 in the first quarter. A lot of it in the last, about 2 minutes.
Ventresca lets fly for 3. 43-36, 51 seconds remain in the game.
And if the Irish can take anything positive from this ball game, there's several things. Tonight they've got excellent play from Jeff Moscato, Vince Policella, and we see young Mark Ventresca in the last now couple of minutes starting to hit his three-point shots. Upper has played a solid game tonight when he's been in there. All these players are back next year. And there's we see Ventresca now setting himself up for the shot, and it draws nothing but net. So Irish have got some positive things to look for next year. They've got some good young players coming back. An excellent junior team who is tonight in Dundas Parkside playing for their SOSSA final. So they've got some good things. And A and Myer, we wish them the best of luck next week in London, Ontario. They make a try for the 3rd try in a row, I think it is, Jim, for their try for the OSSA title.
Still, though, you never want to say it's over until it is. 51 seconds remain in the game. 43-36 Myer. They inbound quickly. Lassard fouls Cool.
Trust me, Jim, this is over.
1 second off the clock. Jamie Cool will head to the line with 50 seconds remaining in the game.
Very frustrating game for Danny Mulligan tonight. I know he wanted to come up big in this last game, but that ankle just didn't allow him to play. I'm surprised he even got that much out of it tonight compared to the other night when we saw him in the semifinal. He could hardly move on it, and he just hasn't been effective though in his shooting.
For Mulligan, Bigger, and Dolan, it's got to be a very disappointing evening. All three grade 13 students, they'll be leaving after this season. The rest of the team, all grade 11 students, they have next year, as you mentioned, and at least another year of eligibility. So for this evening, Mulligan, Bigger, and Dolan, their high school careers may come to a close. The future's bright for the Irish. Palicella for three, nothing but net. 45-39. Then Truska fouls Cool. 34 seconds remain on the clock.
That's a good fitting ending for Vinny. He's had a heck of a ball game. He's really played exceptionally well tonight, worked really hard. He's not that big of a ball player and playing against much bigger and older Myer players, but he's done a heck of a job. Kenny Murray really looks on both of these teams with great interest. A couple of these ball players, Nick Medic and Danny Mulligan, certainly will be playing probably next year in Canadian University ball, and I'm sure Kenny Murray would like to get both of those players. If not, Coach Razzo at McMaster is also looking at him.
Medic comes away with the boards for Myer. Stolen away by Wincott. He'll go coast to coast off the glass. Count the shot and the foul. Pretty much the nail in the coffin there. Clark Wincott comes up on the hobble on a great effort.
And that's a turnover for Mark Ventresca. But we said the Irish had to keep their turnovers to 10. They only have 9 turnovers in this ball game. Unfortunately, about 5 of them came from Dave Bigger. In that regard, the Irish played well. Where they didn't come through was the ability to hit three-point shooting tonight.
Bigger hits the rim on a three-point attempt. Scremin comes away with a board. Foul called with 7 seconds remaining on the clock. Bigger called for the push.
The strategy is not very pretty to watch, and it's not an enjoyable, exciting basketball game, but it's about the only one the Irish had, but there's no point in utilizing it now. Getting back to the university scene, there's some talk that Nick Medic might be coming back to Myer next year. I think, though, that he could graduate this year if everything goes well for him academically. I know there'd be a lot of teams left to have him.
7 seconds remain in the game, and wholesale changes for the A.N. Myer Marauders.
Danny Mulligan, on the other hand, has indicated that he'd like to attend Queen's University or Brock, of course, or U of T. And I know all 3 of those coaches at those 3 schools, especially Kenny Murray losing McDougall at Brock, would love to have Danny there.
You got to believe after watching them compete together for so long, Nick Medic and Dan Mulligan would make good teammates. And Ken Murray will have a chance to work them both over as teammates as he takes this high school all-star team to Japan. The final seconds tick off the 1994 SOSSA championship game. The A.N. Myer Marauders are headed to OSSA for the 3rd straight year. 51-39 winners over the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. On the McLean Hunter High School Game of the Week, the A.N. Myer Marauders with their 3rd straight SOSSA championship.
And what really tied it up for Myer there in the end was superb foul shooting by Jamie Cool. He hit 8 out of 8 in that last 3 minutes of the ball game. Outstanding shooting. For Myer, both Medic and Cool had 13 points, and Jeff Sherrill played a real strong game with 7 points. For Notre Dame, Vinny Palicella came up big with 10 points. That was the top scorer for Notre Dame. And Jeff Moscato had 8 points. Unfortunately, both Mulligan and Bigger just weren't able to come up with the points. Danny with 5 and Bigger with 7 points in this ball game, all toward the end. Notre Dame just didn't have the shooting tonight. They lived by the 3, they died by the 3.
So the Myer Marauders are SOSSA champions. As we mentioned, they head to OPSA in London next week. When we return, we'll try to bring you an interview with the winning head coach, Bob Cool. And Jack, we forgot to select our McLean Hunter High School Game of the Week player of the game.
Well, for Myer, of course, we have to look at Medic. Scrimmage wasn't a factor because of the foul trouble he got into, but Medic and Jamie Cool with that outstanding shooting, I think, were the big contributors, and Jamie did a great job on the defense as well. And for Notre Dame, Vinny Policella and Jeff Liscato both came up with great ball games.
The game the Myer Marauders win will return right after this.
You're watching your community channel. We are McLean Hunter Cable TV.
Welcome back to the Dillon Auditorium at Notre Dame High School in Welland, where the Myer Marauders have captured their 3rd straight SOSSA championship, 3rd straight trip to the OFSA championship tournament. Feel pretty good right now?
Oh yeah, feels great.
Should let you know, Jamie Cool, our McLean Hunter High School Game of the Week player of the game, Myer head coach Bob Cool. How tough is it to go to 3 straight championship games like this for you coaching a high school basketball team?
It's tough. It's very tough. I think maybe I've been there once before 3 times, but it's very tough to get there.
What does this team, Jamie, maybe you can answer this better, what's this team got in the dressing room that allows it to play so well and come up so big and during these big games?
Wow. Oh geez. A lot of the guys, they really get up for the games. Everybody's listening to Walkman and stuff. We have one player in particular, Chris Kewen, who really helps us to focus in that. He really speaks very well, and he just gets us all up for the games, and that's about it.
Obviously no trouble motivating this ball club.
No, that's what I'm thankful for. They're a bunch of young men that get up themselves, and they come to play, and I think they proved it here tonight. It was a tremendous effort by everybody on the team, and I think we're very deserving of the win. We played a fine ball team in Notre Dame. It's unfortunate that Danny was hurt a bit, or he can still shoot, but he was hobbled a bit, and it's too bad that had to happen. But I think we played very well, and I give full credit to Notre Dame for the performance they put on tonight. They played well.
Congratulations. Thanks very much for joining us. Best of luck to both of you and the team in London next week. The Myer Marauders pick up their 3rd straight SOSSA championship. They'll head off to OFSA in London next week with a 51-39 win over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You've been watching the McLean Hunter High School Game of the Week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next season. AAA Senior Boys Championship Basketball. The Zone 3 title on the line. The Myer Marauders take on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Jim Gould and Jack Chambers along with the call of the game. Jack, Myer, and Notre Dame meet for the 2nd time in the championship game. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish Juniors knocking off the Myer Juniors 52-42 earlier today, and the Marauders trying to avoid
an 0 for 3 sweep in the Zone 3 finals. Wesleyan knocked off the Myer midget team earlier today, 55